What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the Red Tide Politics channel. Well, sorry it took me so long, but I've been waiting on results, just to make this video. But yeah, we finally have all the results so I can actually make this video for you guys. I'm going to be going over everything. Sorry it's taking me so long. I've been taking a massive break just because it has been a lot trying to get this out for you guys, trying to get everything results. Making sure everything is 100% accurate. Don't blame me. Blame the United States and their elections board. Let's get started. So, on the screen for you guys is the counting results that I did myself. These are every single results from each state. I've checked this map multiple times and have redone it multiple times to make sure it is 100% accurate. So, let's just dig into a few things that you might see different. So, you're probably wondering, whoa, Red Tide, what is different from this map? Well, there's quite a bit of things. Let's move to the northeast, shall we? You're probably noticing a few factors. An extra county, Trump gained an extra county, lessening margins from the Biden margins in Vermont. Doing better in the rural and suburban areas in Maine and New Hampshire. Lessened the county and nearly won a county in Massachusetts. Did pretty well in the townships in Connecticut. Now we have the big one, New York. Me and a few other YouTubers have talked about how New York would play out, and it seems that we were correct. I was around one county off from projecting a perfect New York. One thing I've been talking about is Nassau County, Suffolk County, and the New York area, the New York City area. I have said for months before this, since November the 5th, that Nassau County would go to Donald Trump. It has, and he's won it by a 4 percentage point win. That is crazy for a Republican. This area has shifted heavily to the right since 2022, when Lee Zeldin pulled a stunning 5% loss, which is crazy for a Republican in the state of New York. Another thing, the state of New Jersey. This one was even a shocker to me, even though I had predicting a closer race than usual in the state of New Jersey. It ended up being a 5.6% win for Kamala Harris. That's not a lot for a Democrat. Biden won the state by a safe margin. Let's move over to one of the swing states, Pennsylvania. I said that Trump will win the state by around a 0.6-0.7% victory. Although I was close, I was wrong. And I was still wrong, and I'll admit that. Trump won the state by a lean margin. Although I did predict that in around June to July, I was still wrong in my final prediction. Although I did get the winner, I did not get the margin completely correct. I was close, but not close enough. That is where I'm actually doing my research to see where I was wrong and to provide better for you guys. Let's move into the state of Virginia. So, a lot of things I've seen is not a shocker. Trump doing better in the suburban areas, doing better in around the D.C. suburbs, getting the margin that he needed in Loudoun, Prince Williams, Fairfax, and around those areas, getting the margins to less than the Biden 10.1% win that Biden got in 2020. He did that. In the early results, he was doing really well in the rural and suburban areas. Not getting the exact margin he would need in the urban areas to actually win the whole state, but doing well overall. Believe it or not, he almost won the city of Roanoke, which I actually miscorrected. It was a tilted margin, not a lean margin. But actually, the Roanoke County was a lean margin, which was crazy. Trump doing better in this area. This is not an area that Trump does usually well in. He did well in 2016, then really badly lost it in 2020. He has improved the Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Northampton area. He has done well. He did extremely well for a Republican in that area. Not as well as Bush, but still for Trump, that is really good. North Carolina. Trump did exceedingly well in the suburban areas around Charlotte, Durham, and around a lot of these filled black areas. I know for a fact he did really well in this area right here. He did really well near the coast. He where he needed to run up his margins, especially in the hurricane hit areas, he did so. Losing Latuga by around 6%, which is really not bad because that area has been shifting heavily to the left. He did really well in Mecklenburg. He did well in the areas that he needed to win the state. And he pulled it off. He won it by 3.1 percentage points. Improvement from 2020 and a slight downgrade from 2016. Nonetheless, an impressive victory. Let's move on to the state of Georgia. Trump did not do well in the Atlanta suburbs, but he did well in the Atlanta metro. Trump gained on his margins from 2020 that he had, doing well in Fulton, DeKalb, and around these areas. Not in the Atlanta metro, like Cobb, Gwinnett, and these other areas like Newton County, but he did well in the middle. Forsyth County, Fulton County, DeKalb, a lot of these areas that he should have done well, he did well. He stopped the big shifts coming out of those areas, especially from 2020. He did well in the suburban areas, like I said, in Atlanta. Did well in the black areas in the south. In Georgia, second, he did well, almost winning Sumter County. He did really well near the Macon area, the Columbus area. He did pretty well. He also did well around the area around Athens, Georgia, the college town of UGA. He did really well. You see, he won the two bellwethers. He won Baldwin. He won these areas. He won the Berks County by a pretty impressive margin, too. Overall, a pretty good performance from 2020, flipping the state. I want to give special attention to the state of Florida. Now, I did predict Florida would shift heavily to the right. One thing I did not notice is how red Miami-Dade County was going to be. He won it by 12 percentage points. He narrowly won West Palm Beach. He narrowly almost won Miami City. He almost won the city of Miami, which is crazy to me. He did well in Hillsborough and Pinellas. One thing I did not predict is him winning Osceola County. He won it, which was crazy. I was not predicting that. That is absurd. He did really, really well in the suburban areas here, showing why he did well near the Orlando area. Very impressive. Around the Mississippi River area where there's heavy black populations, Trump did really well, flipping a lot of these counties right here, making a corridor through the Black Belt, as I call it. Really through the South, it was called the Black Belt. Trump did it really, really well, flipping these counties, getting massive shifts out of these areas because of improved engagement with black voters, and Trump doing really well. He did really well. This is a big one, the state of Texas. I'm just going really state by state to show you guys, not really state by state, but showing you the important states and impressive shifts where they came out of. State of Texas. I've always said there was going to be massive shifts, again, out of the border. Well, I was right. He won counties that a Republican never won. Ever. He flipped them. Not only did he flip them, he did well. Webb County, Starr County did really well across the border. Maverick County won by a safe margin. Mind you, this whole area was blue in 2016. This is one I didn't see coming. Harris County. Kamala Harris. I know that might be a little bit, crazy. Kamala Harris did horrendous in that area. She narrowly won up by 5 percentage points. Trump did well in Williamson. Trump did well in the Dallas suburbs, winning back Tarrant County by a 5% win. He won the state by 13 percentage points. Remember, people were saying that Texas was going to be competitive. Not anymore. Trump has reversed the shifts that the Democrats have been working on for the past 2 decades. Well, it's gone within a matter of days. Trump winning by 13% reverses everything that the Democrats have worked so hard for. What does that say about the Democratic Party? I don't know. We'll wait to find out in 2025. Or really soon. One thing I can tell you is that they do horrible in special elections. That's what we figured out in the Baton Rouge mayoral election. Taking down a Democratic incumbent candidate to a Harris-safe county. The Republican won by 8 percentage points. Arizona. This one is crazy. So I said that Trump was going to win this by a lean margin. I remember I had Biden, when he was still in the race, winning Arizona. What was I wrong? Yes, I was very wrong. Trump won it by a likely margin. He won it by nearly 200,000 votes. That is a shocker to me. He won Maricopa by nearly 100,000 votes. Now we got one that's a little more interesting. Nevada. In the coming days before the election, I had this actually going to Kamala Harris. The reason why I made my actual final video on election night is because I was waiting for a few of signs. I was waiting for Guam, I was waiting for the Marshall Islands and the Virgin Islands. I was waiting for their results. I said if Guam was necessarily close, not Nevada would go to President Trump. Well, look what happened. Guam was close. I predicted a tilt Trump win. And I was right. Not marginally correct. But I gave it to the right candidate, which was a good call. Let's move over to Michigan and Wisconsin. I'll start out with the state of Michigan. This one was a bit of a shock to me. I had this going to Harris by a tilt margin. I used to be a lean margin, but I put it down to a tilt just because I saw a little bit of signs with an early voting. Something that even my Democratic friends did not see. I don't know why. That is an interesting thing for them. But one thing I want to say is how well Trump did in the Detroit suburbs. This area, right here. Exceedingly well. He did really, really well. He almost won. I mean, he won Saginaw. He did really well in these really black contested areas. The filled population areas. He did pretty well in Kent, stopping the massive shifts. He won Muskegon. He did not win the Grand Traverse area. That is okay, because we saw that coming. I even saw that coming in my latest predictions. But, yeah. Pretty impressive performance, I do have to say. Pretty impressive. Nonetheless, I'm going to figure out why I was so wrong by 2 percentage points. That was probably my biggest miss. And I will let you guys know in the coming days. Or really, yeah, coming days. I'll let you guys know why I was so wrong about the prediction. And I'll reassess myself. State of Wisconsin. This was not my worst prediction. I actually got it pretty spot on. I had it going to Trump by a tilt margin. It went to Trump by a tilt margin. I said 0.8%. It went to Trump by 0.9%. One of my most accurate states. Marginally, I did pretty well. Like, Trump did well in Sauk County. He did well in the Wild Counties, the Powell Counties. Really impressive. Really impressive. He did well in the Driftless area of Wisconsin. He did really well around the Chicago area. He did pretty well, I do have to say. The Kenosha area, the Racine area, this area right here. Just this area around Chicago. He did really well. Pretty impressive. I do want to actually bring up Illinois. And then I'll move on to the Senate and the House. But yeah. Illinois, I was not expecting it to be this close. It was an 11-point win. I was predicting around a 14 to 15% win. That was a shock. When he was close on election night, I was like, okay. Something went horribly wrong. What went wrong? Horrible turnout in Chicago. Demographic shifts in the black and key demographics. Huge Republican turnout in the urban areas and the rural areas. stable turnout in the suburban areas. That is the one thing that killed the Democrats. So while you look at this map, the main question for the Democrats was what went wrong. And the one thing I'll show you what went wrong is very simple. It was in down ballot races. This is where we'll find it interesting. Let's go to the Senate. Let's go over the Senate. State of Pennsylvania. We'll go to the state of Pennsylvania. Okay? Dave McCormick, mind you, I had this race going to Bob Casey by a tilt margin. If you look back at my older predictions, I had this going to Bob Casey by a likely margin. I saw the signs. I would say, okay, the polls, you're seeing early vote data come in, you're seeing down ballot races. If they were going to vote for Trump by nearly 2%, it, of course, was going to be close. Why would you look at that? After Bob Casey refusing to concede the race, McCormick comes down top. He won by 15,000 votes. It took him so long to get the last vote in. It looked like Bob Casey might have been the winner. But no. The main issue that Casey had is not getting the turnout that he had in Luzerne, Berks, Lancaster, Washington, Beaver, Allegheny, Erie, and the Philadelphia suburbs. He almost lost Bucks County. Just think of that. A incumbent, pretty popular up to before the election, almost lost Bucks County. He lost Northampton, almost lost Monroe, did a little bit better than Harrison Lehigh. But yeah, not a good showing. Let's go to Ohio. I don't know why I should be bringing this up, but I'm going to anyway. This should have not been a shock to many people. Trump was, of course, going to win the state by 12 to 13 percentage points. There was no way an incumbent senator would beat the down ballot effect of a 13-point win on a presidential level. Nonetheless, a decent performance for an incumbent down ballot in a good year for Republicans. But people were saying that Sherrod Brown was going to pull it out. There was no information showing that. We already knew he was going to do horrible in the Cleveland area, the Lake area, the Mahoning County area. There was no showing that he was going to do well in the Columbus, Daytona, and the really suburban areas. We knew that. And yet, we were blinded to it. Me and a few other YouTubers, and it was minimal, having this as a lean margin. People went as far to say that Brown was going to win by a likely margin. I saw that somewhere. That was never the case. Never. There were so many signs, even at the end, when the polls were starting to benefit Moreno. It was the same thing in 2022 with J.D. Vance. And yet, we were still blinded to it. Let's go to one more race, Montana. I had this race going to him narrowly by a same margin. I said 10 percentage points exactly. He was 7. If I went with my last prediction, it would have been okay, but it's okay. I still got the race correct. I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I did see it. People saying it was going to be narrow. Never was it going to be narrow. Trump won the state by 20%. Tester would have had to win Cascade. He would have to win Lake County. He would have to win Billings. He would have to do a probably 20-point win in Lewis and Clark. Missoula, he would have probably had to win it by 70. He would have to win it. He would have to be in the mid-70s, probably 80s to win. There was no information showing that he was going to win this race. And yet there were still people saying it was going to be close, or Tester would narrowly pull it out because of his popularity. I don't even know why I have to talk about this. And yet people still being dumb. I'm going to talk about one more race before we move on to the House. Texas. There are people saying that Ted Cruz was going to lose this race. I was always cautious. Yes, I had this down to a lean margin. I was cautious. There was more than a handful from my community saying that this race was going to go to Colin Alred. Yes, I know. There was a little bit of signs, but there were not indicative signs that saying that Ted Cruz was going to lose this race. We need to put more money in this. And yet, Alred did horrible in Harris. He did horrible in Fort Bend. He almost lost Williamson. Ted Cruz almost won Tarrant County. He won Maverick. He won Star. He won Zapata County. He did well on the border area where he did absolutely horrible in 2018. And yet, we still had people saying that Ted Cruz was not going to pull it out. What signs were there? We knew that Trump was going to do pretty well, like an 8 to 9% win, not by 13, like I was not a 13% win, but still, he would do better than he did in 2020. What makes you think if a candidate's doing better on the top of the ticket, an executive ticket in a presidential year, doing better on the top of the ticket, and then being crashed down on a Senate level? There was no signs. Nothing. Let's move over to the House. I'm not going to go over the governor just because it's very straightforward. Maybe I'll actually go over New Hampshire. I'll go over New Hampshire for you guys. But we knew this was going to happen. I was pretty close. There's a few races I got wrong, but a few races I actually got right. Gabe Evans pulled it out. That was a shock to me. He did really well. On the actual amount, I had Republicans at 221, so I was wrong by 1 seat. More of a flip-flop than anything. By the way, if you saw on my final prediction, I did not mean to have Michigan 7th and 8th flipped. Tom Bartlett was going to win. I should have specified that. But yeah. If you were in one of the Discord servers, I specified that, so I should have said it on my YouTube channel. Apologies for that. Nick Begich. So I had Mary Patola just because of the primary winning. I should have saw the signs. I mean, if I knew that Trump was going to win it by 13 to 14, Patola was never going to win. She had a chance. Was it a good chance? No. I should have saw the signs for that. That was just me being stupid. These are really self-explanatory. Mike Garcia was not really a good candidate, if I'm honest. We did horrible. Like, I have to say one thing. This gerrymandering in LA, this is just wrong. We just have to redistrict this whole area. It looks completely stupid. We just have to redistrict to be more central friendly for any candidate to win it. We should have to redistrict it. This one was kind of stupid. We should have not had to wait so many days for this to be called. And yet it flipped. I mean, it flipped in December. The election was in November. That is an issue for me. That's why I had to wait so long to put out this video. Because I was waiting on races like California's 13th. It's ridiculous. But Pennsylvania, I knew that Buchanan was going to do well. I didn't know that McKenzie was going to win. That was a big shock to me. I mean, McKenzie did really well. Ryan McKenzie did really well, and I have to give them thanks. I had Don Davis losing to Lori Buckout. I should have saw the signs in her crashing campaign. I should have switched that one. That is a big loss for me. I should have seen the signs. I had so many people telling me. But that's okay. Mike Lawler did really well against Mondier Jones. I don't know why there was one specific YouTuber who had this flipping. They even had Montana's first flipping. I don't know what in your righteous mind would have you that flipping. There was no indicators to show that. One also shock was Don Bacon. I don't know how he survived it. He's going to lose in 2026, which you'll see that map come out soon. Don't know when that will be. Still working on it. Still doing a lot of data for it. But what I can tell you, it is not a year that you think Democrats are going to do. It's probably going to be a repeat of 2022. But on a little bit more of a Democratic friendly. I have a few shocks, just to say the least. But yeah, Don Bacon. I had Vargas winning by a lean margin. I don't know how Don Bacon survived. That was just luck, if I'm completely honest. Don Bacon's kind of like that one annoying uncle. I don't know. Can't really explain that one to you guys, but yeah. Capture. This was a surprise one. I had Capture winning by a lean margin. I did not think Derek Marin was gonna do that well. One thing I can tell you is this seat's flipping in 2026 because Capture won't run because this is gonna be redistrict. You're gonna see a lot of shocks because I know they're redistricting a lot of things, so you're gonna see that come out. But yeah, this is a 26-minute video. I'm back. But yeah, one more thing. New Hampshire. Kelly Ayotte did pretty well, especially because of Trump's effect. I mean, go far to say she won Rockland County by 16, Sullivan by 9, Merrimack by 6, Hillsborough by 11, narrowly won Chester County. Did well in Grafton, which was a Harris safe county. Craig only won it by 10. So the issue that we had for Joyce Craig, which there was no signs pointing to, the one thing I'll say is it was either going to be D plus 10 to R plus 10. There was just not a lot of signs to predicting. I still had Ayotte winning, but yeah. But this, I mean, Kelly Ayotte did pretty well. I do have to say, did pretty well. I mean, she ran it up in these areas like Nasha, Concord, Manchester, Dover, doing well in the rural and suburban areas around these big cities or cities in these areas. One indicator was Dixville Notch. But yeah, I don't want to keep yapping because it's a long video. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry this took so long to produce, but yeah. I will come up more videos soon about 2025 and 2026 and my predictions for it. There's a few things I do need to explain in my predictions. But yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Red Tie out.